Monday, 6:40 a.m. Coffee black, sports page open, the house humming with the dishwasher's last cycle. Lauren stands by the sink, ring off, voice steady. I want a divorce. I don't slam the mug. I fold the paper, once, twice. I've been waiting for this sentence for 18 months. I tell her, if you're leaving, leave. Then I walk to my office, open the top drawer, and take out a stamped envelope I addressed yesterday to a man she thinks I don't know. I slide something inside, a little gift, and seal it with my thumb. No yelling, no scene, just signatures, locks, and timing. When I return to the kitchen, Lauren is shaking, trying to read my face like a headline. I hand her the envelope and take it back before she can touch it. On second thought, I say, I'll make sure it gets delivered. The truth is, it already has. And that's when the real story starts. For me. Plano mornings are predictable. Garage door groans, sprinklers tick, coffee maker coughs to life. I like that rhythm. It lets a man pretend his life is still under warranty. I read the sports page, same as my dad did, elbows on the table like bookends. Lauren hums while rinsing a glass, not wearing her ring. She says she wants a divorce. No tearful pitch, no speech, just the line. I fold the paper once and breathe. 18 months of knowing turned me into stone. Today, stone finally moves. I rinse my cup, thank her for the coffee, and walk down the hallway to my office. The old me would argue, point, tally sins. The man I have to be opens a drawer and looks at a labeled envelope. Plano keeps purring outside. Inside, something ends without flames. I return to the kitchen, place the mug in the sink, and say, if you're leaving, leave. The dishwasher clicks. So do I. I keep a spiral notebook in the office, bent at the corners like a worn ear. First page reads in block letters, thank you. Under it, one line I wrote after a sleepless Sunday. Thank God she's leaving. Not rage, not victory, relief you feel when a bad bearing finally gets replaced. I pull the notebook, flip to a clean page, and copy the line again, slower. Then I take out an envelope addressed to a man Lauren thinks I've never met. Inside, I slide a lottery ticket I bought last night at the Chevron on Coit. Maybe it's nothing. Maybe it's everything. Either way, it's a message. I'm not the fool you scheduled between errands. I seal the flap with my thumb, press the crease, and stash the envelope in the drawer. Coffee sits cooling. The house smells like toast and lemon cleaner. On the fridge, our summer calendar hangs crooked. I straighten it, then let it fall crooked again. I grew up believing a man proves himself by what he refuses to do. I refuse to scream. I refuse to beg. I refuse to become a headline for the neighbors. Instead, I make a list. 3 columns on a yellow pad. Lawyer, locks, liquidity. Under lawyer, I write Alex Grant, the kid who traded baseball cards and now files motions. Under locks, I write, call a pro, change codes, cameras. Under liquidity, I circle everything twice. Divorce in Texas is no fault. You split what you don't secure. Not bitterness. Math. I slide the yellow pad into my briefcase and tuck the envelope beside it. In the hallway, the thermostat kicks on, air brushing my arm hairs. Lauren stands there like a storm that hasn't decided which county to hit. We need to talk, she says. We will, I answer, with witnesses. I grab my keys. I don't slam the door. I don't need to. The click is louder than thunder. I drive with both hands at 10 and 2, like the instructor taught me in a Pontiac decades ago. Old habits keep men alive. The sunrise throws copper on the windshields crawling down Preston. I don't blast music. I let the turn signal count my breaths. First stop, Lone Star Bank. The teller knows me by name and by wedding ring. Today, I slide the ring into my pocket and my driver's license across the counter. Morning, Ethan, she says. Morning, I answer, steady. I request balances, closeouts, cashier's checks. It isn't spite, it's securing oxygen before cabin pressure drops. While she prints, I text Alex one word, filing. My phone buzzes back. Noon. Outside, a landscaper blows leaves into a neat pile that will scatter the second he turns his back. I think about that, how order lasts as long as you protect it. I fold the receipts once, then once again, and walk toward parking lot's heat today. I hit the second bank near the office, the one with lines and cold air. New accounts, new passwords, new habits. The manager offers coffee I don't need and a smile I can use. We talk in plain numbers. Direct deposit moves Friday. Auto pay reroutes. Joint cards cancel. Replacement cards ship. It's unromantic, like changing spark plugs, but a car runs or it doesn't. I sign where yellow tabs tell me to sign and keep my breathing level. My phone buzzes with an email. Confirmation codes, masked account numbers, a trail that says I learned from my father's one mistake, leaving things tangled when he should have cut clean. Outside, I call the credit card company and answer the security questions like a catechism. Mother's maiden name, first truck, favorite team. The agent pauses. Big changes today? Tightening bolts, I say. When the confirmation text lands, I screenshot it and file it. Money doesn't fix heartbreak. It keeps the lights on. I pull into the garage at work and sit for a beat, letting the engine tick its way to quiet. In the reflection of the dash, I look like a man who slept fine. That's the assignment today. I tap the steering wheel twice, pocket the ring again, and head in. The lobby smells like copier toner and burnt coffee. Monday everywhere. I nod to security, ride the elevator, and step into my floor's hum. People read your face like weather, so I give them clear skies. Morning, I say. Morning, they echo. In my office, I close the door and turn on a desk lamp instead of overheads. Light keeps decisions clean. I open email, batch replies, trim meetings. Then I buzz Monica. Can you step in? She appears with a notebook and that look good assistants have. Calm plus radar. What do you need? She asks. A quiet day, 2 signatures, and no flowers, I say. She laughs. Monica perches in the chair across from me, pen ready. She's worked with me long enough to read between bullet points. What's on deck? She asks. I keep my voice easy. 2 contract renewals, 1 staffing change, and I'm back on the market. The pen pauses over the page. She looks up, careful, kind. You okay? I nod. I will be. Need you to firewall distractions today. She smiles, focused. Done. Then she surprises me. For what it's worth, you won't be on the market long. I chuckle. Not because it's funny, but because the room needs air. Text me your sister's number, I say, half a joke we've shared since a barbecue years ago. She caps the pen. Forget my sister, she says, voice steady. Put me in line. The clock seems louder. I study her face, the way people do when a familiar street looks different at noon. Let's get through lunch, I say. Then we'll see. She doesn't blush. She doesn't hedge. She sets the notebook down like it just finished its shift. I'm serious, she says. You're a good man. I'd like to see where that goes. I stare at the framed photo on my shelf. Company picnic, paper plates, sunburned noses. Years sneak up on you. So do changes. You know I'm still married, I say. She nods. You're filing. I respect lines. Her calm steadies me. It also rattles me in a way I didn't expect. Men my age pretend we've seen every play. Then someone draws one in the dirt you didn't plan for. The air conditioner kicks on. I hear myself laugh, low and real. Then here's my line, I say. Work first, lunch second, the rest only after the paperwork starts. She accepts it like a contract. Deal. The word lands between us with weight. I realize the morning began with an ending. Now it's also beginning something else. I let the silence settle until it's calm, not awkward. Then I say, there's something you should know before you claim first in line. Monica leans in, eyebrows soft but alert. Okay. I keep my eyes on the legal pad because eye contact can be a kind of promise. Lauren didn't blindside me. I've known about the affair for 18 months. Her pen doesn't move. How did you live like that? She asks, not judging, just human. I can feel every man over 40 nodding along. You pick your battles. You pick your timing. Texas is no fault, I say. Half of everything if you rush. I wasn't going to burn down the shop I built to make a point. She exhales, the sound of a balloon deciding not to pop. So today isn't revenge? No, I say. Today is maintenance. Lawyer, locks, liquidity. She repeats it under her breath like a checklist. The elevator dings. Lunch can wait. Truth first. People think silence means weakness. In Texas, silence can mean math. No-fault divorce doesn't care who sinned. It cares what's on the ledger. If you rush, a judge cuts the pie down the middle and tells you to smile. That's why I kept my mouth shut for 18 months. Not because I forgave, but because timing pays interest. Guys my age know that lesson from mortgages and worn knees. You manage what you can't fix. So when Lauren finally said the word, I didn't explode. I folded the paper and started my list. Lawyer, locks, liquidity. I hear my dad's voice from a Plano garage telling me, you don't strip a bolt, you ease it loose. Today, I ease it loose. Call the attorney, move the money, protect the house. People will say I'm cold. Maybe. I'm also prepared. There's a difference, and men who've rebuilt engines understand it. The engine's running. Now I'm shifting into gear. For real. The house isn't just drywall and payments. It's the workshop where I learned Walnut doesn't forgive sloppy cuts. It's the 3-car garage where my son was supposed to learn oil changes, even though life had other plans. It's a pool that turns Texas August into something survivable. I didn't stay to be a martyr. I stayed to keep the things I built from getting auctioned by a timeline. Men get it. You don't sell your tools because of storms in forecasts. You cover them, wait it out, and rebuild after. I walked room to room that morning, reading place like a map. The nick on the banister, the crack in the tile, the window that sticks in winter. Every mark costs money to replace. Every mark carries a story I paid for. Lauren saw furniture. I saw sweat. If I'd blown up 18 months ago, all of this would be split. Today I'm keeping the foundation. That's the point. Now. Back at my desk, Monica closes the door and sits, elbows on her knees, like people do when the topic isn't on the agenda. You're filing today, she says, not asking. I nod. Texas splits evenly. If she files first, she sets the pace. Monica shakes her head. Let me say this as someone who's watched you run projects for years. You hate reacting. Don't start now. She taps my yellow pad with her nail. Lawyer, locks, liquidity, add 1, leadership. I smile despite myself. She isn't wrong. Men my age know how it feels to lose the steering wheel on black ice. You don't wait for the skid to correct itself. You turn into it, straighten. So I file, I say. You file, she answers. And you serve at work, clean, professional, no scenes. It's blunt. It's also mercy, the kind that feels like sandpaper because it works. I pick up the phone and scroll to Alex. Right now. Alex and I have been dialing each other since 3rd grade, when we traded a Ken Griffey card for a bag of sour straws behind the bleachers. I hit his name, and he answers on the 2nd ring. Talk to me, he says. I give him the headline, then the details, the way men do when the wound is old and the decision is new. No drama, just facts. No fault, Texas, I finish. I'm filing. He exhales. I'm sorry, brother. Come by at noon. We'll draft, print, and you'll sign. I'll walk the petition to the clerk myself. His voice is steady, the kind people pay for, and I've earned for free. One more thing, I say. Serve her at work, less theater. He pauses, lawyer gears turning. Cleanest route, he agrees. Text me her office address and schedule if you have it. I'll coordinate service. I look at the clock. It's 10. The longest 2 hours begin, right here. We met on a little league field, 2 kids who couldn't hit curveballs but could memorize rule books. Alex was always the one who knew what inning we were really in. In high school, he argued a parking ticket in front of the principal and won with a copy of the handbook. I build things. He interprets frameworks. That's why I trust him now. When a man hits 50, trust is a short list. The doctor who tells the truth, the mechanic who hands back parts he replaced, the friend who calls you out without making a scene. Alex is that friend. We don't do long phone confessions. We make plans. We show up. He texts me a checklist, IDs, pay stubs, marriage certificate copies, boring things that part the sea in court. I gather folders like I'm loading a truck for a long haul. My hands stop shaking. A plan is pain that found a job. At noon, I'll clock in. Clean. Before lunch, Alex sends a calendar invite titled Petition Draft. Bring IDs. He adds a note. We'll file right after. Efficient is a love language for men who fix things. I eat half a granola bar at my desk and try not to check the clock every 2 minutes. At 11:50, I shut the laptop, grab the folder, and walk to the elevators. The lobby air feels colder, the way courthouses always do, even when they're just glass and plants. Alex meets me in a conference room with a printer that sounds like a busy beehive. He reads each paragraph out loud, not for drama, for accuracy. Names, dates, property, the line about no children. I initial, sign, date. He paperclips the stack and smiles with his eyes, the way he did when we were 10, and finally turned to double play. Let's go take a walk, he says. Clerk's office is 2 blocks away. We bring pens and patience. On the sidewalk, I ask for one more safeguard. Protective order, I say. Temporary now, hearing later. I want space to breathe. Alex nods. We can request it. Judges like clean evidence and calm petitioners. You're calm. I smile without teeth. Cameras go in today. Locks change too. He glances over. Good. We'll include an affidavit about property damage risk and escalating conflict. Men over 30 know this dance. You don't wait for the barn to burn before you buy a hose. Inside the clerk's office, paper shuffles like cards. Alex files, stamps, and secures a hearing date placeholder, then texts a process server he trusts. Serve at her work tomorrow mid-morning, he says. Gives us time to switch locks between 10 and noon. I hear myself breathe again, steady and slow. The envelope and briefcase feels heavier, and that's useful. Not rage, leverage. You'll get pushback, Alex adds. Expect calls. They can leave messages, I say. The line is drawn. Back on the curb, Alex gives me the part good lawyers never skip. Expectations. A temporary order is fast. Keeping it requires a hearing, usually within 10 days. Judges want both sides to speak. I nod. We'll be ready. He lists what ready means. Screenshots, camera footage, texts, voicemails, a log of incidents with dates and times. It sounds like homework, and maybe that's the point. Work steadies a man. Stay polite on the phone, he adds. No long conversations. Email my attorney is your script. I can do scripts. I've run safety meetings tougher than most weddings. We shake hands, the old way, with 2 pumps and eye contact. On the walk back, I think about 10 days. Long enough for people to spin stories. Short enough to hold a line. At the corner, a delivery truck honks, and I step back from the curb. Timing again. All the wins I've kept came from timing. This one will too. My grandfather used to say possession is 9/10 of the law, and the other 10th is good paper. I can't quote the statute, but I can change locks and keep receipts. After filing, I schedule the locksmith for tomorrow at 10:30 right after service. I place a rush order on cameras and door sensors, the kind with timestamps judges like. Then I walk the perimeter like a foreman. Gates latch? Check. Garage code? Changing tomorrow. Spare keys? Gathered. It isn't paranoia, it's stewardship. You don't leave your tools in the yard and complain when the rain shows up. Older men will nod here. We've all lost something to convenience. Not today. I put fresh batteries in flashlights, test the motion lights, and set the envelope back in my briefcase. If Lauren returns angry, I'll be gone. If she calls, it goes to voicemail. If she tries the door, it won't turn. Lines aren't loud, they're firm and final. I get home before sunset and park at the curb, not the driveway, the way you do when you're ready to leave fast if you need to. The house glows like it always does at dusk, warm and forgiving. Inside, Lauren sits at the kitchen table sorting papers into piles that won't matter. She doesn't look up. We need to talk, she says, flat. I set my briefcase on the counter, wash my hands, and dry them on the towel. We will, I answer. Tomorrow, with counsel. She scoffs. Coward. I look at the chair across from her and stay standing. Men learn from job sites. Sit, and you negotiate on someone else's terms. Stand, and you hold your line. If you're leaving, leave, I say again, not louder, truer. She lifts her eyes and sees the part of me that packed 18 months into a single day. The dishwasher hums. Outside, a siren passes. Inside, the next move is mine. I stood by the sink and kept my voice level. "If you want a divorce, hire your own attorney," I said. "I won't fund a breakup you planned." She stared like I'd spoken a foreign language. People expect a fight. They don't expect a boundary. I set an envelope on the counter just to feel its weight, then slid it back into my briefcase. "This isn't a debate," I added. "You can schedule, pay, and sign. I'll respond through counsel." Older men understand paperwork better than promises. Paper holds. Promises leak. Lauren folded her arms and tried the old routine. Tears without tears. A sigh like a car that won't turn over. I rinsed my cup and dried it slow, the way you do when you've fixed the same leaky valve a dozen times. "If you want out," I said, "walk through the door you opened." The dishwasher hummed. The clock clicked. The morning didn't blink. That was the point. Today. She pointed at the ceiling like the drywall was a witness. "This is my house too," she said. I nodded. "Half, on paper. But paper doesn't open the garage or pay the plumber when the water heater quits." She hated that calm tone, the one I learned from foremen who explained safety rules after someone bled. "You can stay in the guest room while you figure things out," I added. "But the bedroom is closed." Her jaw tightened. "You can't just rewrite the rules." I shrugged. "A judge will write them soon. Until then, I'm writing mine." I took a photo of the living room for my records. Sofas, lamps, the scuff under the coffee table that looks like Texas. "Documenting," I said. Men who've dealt with insurance adjusters know the drill. Lauren followed me down the hall, listing grievances like line items. I didn't argue. I opened the guest room door, set sheets on the bed, and left. Boundary set. I stood in the doorway and laid it out like a work order. "Here's how this goes," I said. "You want the couch? I'll want the coffee table. You want the dining set? I'll want the china you never use. We can split pillows if you like. I have time." Her mouth opened, then shut. Deadbolts click like that. "Why are you being cruel?" she asked. "I'm being clear," I answered. "I'll fight for every chair, every lamp, every spoon, if it slows a lawyer who bills by the hour. I warned you I'd make this expensive." Men over 30 know the math. Drag is leverage. I wasn't shouting. I was turning screws until threads met. She tried one more angle. "Can't we be adults?" "We are," I said. "Adults keep receipts and hire counsel." I wrote today's date on the whiteboard by the fridge and circled it twice. If a war was coming, it would run on calendar squares. I don't like humiliating people, but truth has a way of walking in uninvited. "This isn't your first time," I said. 4 stretches in 10 years when you moved like a stranger in our house. I didn't have proof then. I do now. She looked past me toward the window, the way drivers look past a trooper's flashlight. "You're making things up." I shook my head. "A friend saw you at a motel a year and a half ago. I hired a private investigator for a week. I know schedules, receipts, room numbers. Men my age keep files when our guts won't be respected." I set the folder on the table and didn't open it. "I'm not here to shame you," I said. "I'm here to end this clean." She reached for the folder. I slid it back. "For court," I added. The last part landed. Her shoulders dropped. Denial has a sound when it runs out of gas. Tonight. I wish I could say anger kept me warm. It didn't. Love turned to hate, then hate to nothing, like coffee left on a burner until it's just scorched smell. That's the danger people don't name. Numb feels safe, but it steals color from everything. I slept next to Lauren for months like roommates who stopped splitting groceries. We still touched, sometimes, like people shake hands at funerals, out of habit, not hope. Older men know that drift. Your back starts hurting, your patience thins, and the quiet grows teeth. That morning, I chose not to bleed more over it. I chose function. I chose to be the guy who changes tires in rain because the car won't change itself. "I'm done pretending," I told her. "We finish this with paperwork." She looked at me like I'd turned to stone. Maybe I had. It beats turning to smoke. Paper can carry weight. Smoke just disappears when you need it. Most days. The next morning, I ate breakfast at a diner where the coffee tastes like hard work and the bacon smells like Saturdays in 1989. Men my age understand that kind of comfort. The waitress wore a name tag that said Nina and a smile that said she'd seen worse. "Table for one?" she asked. "For now," I answered. I took the booth by the window and read the same sports column I'd read yesterday, because rituals keep your hands from shaking. She topped off my mug without asking and slid over extra napkins the way moms do. "You look like a man with a list," she said. "I am," I answered, and I told her I was getting divorced. Not the story, just the sentence. She listened. When the check came, she flipped it and tapped the back. "If you ever want company for pancakes," she said, "that's my number." I stared at it. The syrup didn't seem so heavy. I walked to the truck with that receipt-sized phone number burning my pocket like a question. Men over 40 know the two voices you hear in parking lots, the one that tells you you're done, and the one that says you're not. I didn't text Nina. I folded the slip and tucked it behind my registration, a place for things that matter later. Back home, the house smelled like lemon cleaner again, habit doing its best impression of hope. I made a sandwich I didn't want and ate it anyway, the way you change a tire you didn't plan on changing. Halfway through, I laughed, soft, honest. Lauren wants out, and strangers want in. Life has a mean sense of humor, but sometimes it's just timing wearing a mask. I rinsed the plate, set it in the rack, and checked my phone. A message from Alex landed. "Service tomorrow at 10:15. Be ready." I was. The clock felt like a fuse. Lit. At 10:14 the next morning, I parked halfway down the block from Lauren's office and watched a sedan slide to the curb. The process server stepped out in a navy blazer, a man who looked like he'd delivered worse news. At 10:15 he went inside. At 10:19, my phone buzzed. Served. Alex's name below it felt like a hand on my shoulder. The plan clicked into the next gear. I called the locksmith while I pulled into my driveway. 10:30? He asked. 10:30, I said. He arrived with a tool bag and a calm that matched mine. New deadbolts, new codes, new habits. By noon, the house had a different sound. Doors catching clean, latches meeting metal like a handshake. I texted Alex. "Locks changed." He replied, "Good. Expect calls." I set my phone to do not disturb and stood in the garage, breathing sawdust and memory. I printed a sign for the bay. "Lauren, your things are in the garage." She pulled in fast enough to rattle the loose ladder on the wall. The garage door stood open like a stage. She read the sign, then read it again, like the words might change if she glared hard enough. I stayed inside, out of view, because dignity sometimes looks like distance. She tested the door into the kitchen and found what I expected. New lock, new reality. I heard the handle click twice, then the long silence that follows the end of a script. She opened the trunk and started loading boxes. Shoes, makeup bags, a picture frame from a beach I never visited. I watched from the hallway camera on my phone, not to gloat, to log. The law likes logs. When she finished, she stood in the garage, hands on hips, command gone. She rang the bell once, then twice. I didn't answer. Boundaries need consistency more than volume. She left with the engine angry and a trunk full. 5 minutes later, the text storm hit, then the calls. Then the voicemail that began calm and ended like gravel in a blender. I didn't pick up. I saved everything. Men who've dealt with contractors know the power of a paper trail. Around 6, I heard the side door rattle. Once, then again with a shoulder behind it. The deadbolt held. The camera caught her face, tight as a knot you tie in the dark. She pounded the door with an open palm, then with something heavier. Inside, I set my phone on the counter and stared at the towel drawer, because sometimes the smallest things keep you from doing something dumb. She shouted my name once, then called me a coward twice. I let the words pass like weather. Eventually the engine started, tires squealed, and the block returned to normal. The footage uploaded to the cloud. I poured water, drank slow, and let my heart settle back into gear. I sat at the kitchen table with my contact list open and drafted the message I didn't want to write. "Lauren and I are divorcing. Please direct questions to me, not rumors." Then I called the people who mattered. My sister first. She listens, then tells me what I missed. A couple of friends who knew enough to be unsurprised. One neighbor who keeps a sharp eye and a spare ladder. Men in their 50s collect people like that the way younger men collect apps. They work when you need them. I kept my tone even and my sentences short. No autopsies, no play-by-play. It's no fault, it's happening, I'm okay. Most offered to come by. I said I had it handled. It felt good to say and mean it. I finished with a voicemail to Lauren's parents. Respect costs nothing. I'm sorry this is happening. We'll keep it civil. I set the phone face down and let the room breathe. For now. The responses came in waves. Shock from the cousins who only see our Christmas card. Relief from two friends who'd watched me fade and didn't say it until I said it first. A text from a coworker who assumed we were open, which told me more about his weekends than mine. Older men know this pattern. When something cracks, people reveal their stories, not yours. I thanked the ones who offered trucks and time. I ignored the ones who offered opinions. Monica slipped a note under my office door, "Remember to eat," with a protein bar taped to it like a dad joke. I smiled and ate it. In the afternoon, Alex called to confirm tomorrow's service plan again, as if precision could lower my pulse. Maybe it did. By evening, the house was quiet enough to hear the air return. Quiet used to feel like a verdict. Tonight, it felt like a tool. I could shape with this. For a while. Lauren's parents called after 9, voices careful, like they were carrying a hot pan. They're good people. They wanted to believe there was a misunderstanding big enough to explain everything away. I kept it short. "I'm filing. It's no fault. I wish it were different." Her mom cried. Her dad cleared his throat and said he hoped we'd reconsider. I didn't list proof. I didn't mention cameras. You don't win points explaining a storm to people still standing in sunshine. "I'll keep this civil," I said. "She can pick up anything she needs from the garage." A long pause, then a shaky thank you. After we hung up, I sat in the dark living room and thought about the first Thanksgiving we spent together. Her dad carving, me learning where they keep the extra foil. Families remember beginnings more than middles. Endings come as a surprise even when they shouldn't. I turned on a lamp and left it on for them. Tonight. The security guys arrived the next morning with boxes that made my hallway look like a shipping dock. Cameras, sensors, a doorbell that sees better than I do at night. The tech walked me through angles. Front door, garage, kitchen, hallway. Clean sightlines a judge would appreciate. We tested alerts until my phone chirped like a flock. I set schedules, named zones, and saved everything to a cloud with a password only I would remember. Men over 50 love a good checklist. This felt like one that could breathe. When they left, I walked the perimeter again, imagining trouble like a carpenter imagines rain. You think ahead, or you work wet. I printed another copy of the sign for the garage and taped it higher, where no one could miss it. Then I sat at the kitchen table, opened my notebook, and wrote the day's date. Under it, one word: ready. The house hummed. So did I, finally, for the first time. By afternoon, preparation met purpose. The garage door opened, and Lauren stepped in with a key that no longer mattered. The camera saw everything. She started calm, 2 boxes, a suitcase, a glance at the sign. Then something snapped. She yanked a shelf, sent paint cans rolling like bowling balls, and marched through the service door into the kitchen. The alarm chimed. The footage caught plates shattering, a lamp tipping, clothes yanked from hangers and thrown like confetti at a parade no one attended. Then came the worst of it, petty and cruel, the kind of thing people deny later until video says otherwise. I didn't run in. I called the police, gave the address, and watched the minutes stack like bricks. When the squad car pulled up, red and blue washed the kitchen walls. Officers stepped inside, calm as winter. They took statements, took photos, and took the temperature down. Evidence doesn't shout. It just survives storms and changes outcomes. I called the police, gave my name, and kept my voice even. The dispatcher asked if anyone was hurt. "Not yet," I said, "but property is being destroyed." She told me to wait outside. I stepped onto the porch with my phone, the camera feed still rolling. The cruiser arrived faster than anxiety could invent a worse ending. 2 officers entered through the garage, calm like winter. I showed them the footage, the paperwork, the sign on the wall. They took notes, took pictures, and took the temperature down. Older men know that tone, firm, not loud. Lauren tried to explain with volume. Video explained with dates and timestamps. They issued a trespass warning, wrote the report, and told her she'd be contacted. When they left, the kitchen looked like a dropped toolbox. I swept glass into a pan and breathed through the sting. Evidence doesn't need my anger. It needs batteries, backups, and names spelled correctly. On the record. By morning, Alex had filed the supplemental statement, and the process server confirmed delivery. Plano PD called to follow up, then called again to say a warrant had been issued for violating the protective order and willful damage. I said I'd make myself available if needed. They didn't need me. At 10:22 a.m., an officer phoned from her office lobby. "Sir, she's in custody." I thanked him, then sat in my truck and stared at the steering wheel like a dial I couldn't turn. Arrest isn't celebration, it's consequence. Men my age understand that line. I texted Alex, who replied, "Stay quiet, let the system work." I did exactly that. Word traveled faster than sense. A coworker pinged me. "Everything okay?" I wrote, "Handling it." Then I put my phone face down and walked inside to make coffee the old-fashioned way. Slow, measured, hot enough to feel. The mug warmed my hands. For the first time all week, they stopped shaking. 10 days later, we stood in a Collin County courtroom that smelled like new carpet and old stories. Lauren sat with her attorney, eyes fixed on a middle distance that didn't include me. Alex cued the footage. The judge watched in silence, one hand on a legal pad, the other on his chin. Plates shattered, clothing flew, the alarm chimed, the timestamp marched like a drummer. When the video ended, the room stayed quiet long enough to count heartbeats. "Protective order maintained," the judge said. "Counsel, prepare a clean copy." He looked at me next. "Mr. Cole, continue to document." Men my age appreciate instructions we can follow. We left with paperwork that felt heavier than it weighed. In the hallway, Lauren brushed past without looking. I didn't follow. Outside, the Texas sun did what it always does. Burn off excuses. Alex shook my hand. "Stay the course," he said. For once, the course was paved. I could keep walking. Forward. I hired the priciest cleaning crew in Plano, the kind that arrives in unmarked vans like surgeons. Not spite, documentation. Their estimate listed every broken dish, every stained shirt, every hour of labor at a rate that would make a dentist blink. I saved the quote, approved the work, and asked for photos before and after. Men who've ever fought with an insurance company know why. They scraped glass from grout, bagged debris by category, and logged it all. Dates, times, signatures. When the invoice landed, Alex filed it with the court and requested reimbursement under the order. Lauren's lawyer objected to the cost. The judge didn't. "Consequences follow choices," he said, signing. I paid the crew with a grateful handshake and a tip I could defend later. The house smelled like lemon and second chances. I walked the rooms, barefoot, testing for splinters, finding none. Clean isn't forgiveness. It's proof the mess ended here. That's valuable during storms. And recover. A week later, Alex called with news that tasted like lukewarm coffee. "She covered the invoice," he said. "Judge accepted proof of payment. No contempt today." I nodded, then sat with the feeling older men know well. Satisfaction trimmed by reality. You don't always get the victory lap. Sometimes you just get closure on a bill. I walked the yard, checked the gate latch, and let the sun press across my shoulders. Somewhere in this city, Lauren had borrowed or begged enough to square the ledger. Good. Let the numbers be honest. I don't need her jailed to sleep. I need distance, predictability, and locks that turn. Alex suggested we let the docket breathe and focus on the decree. We shifted to property lists, refinancing options, and a calendar that could carry us to final orders. Paperwork is boring until it saves you. That afternoon, I filed documents and grilled a steak. The sizzle said what words couldn't. Forward again. After the court noise settled, Monica and I met for dinner at a place where the lights are low and the servers call you sir without irony. We didn't celebrate, we exhaled. She asked about my day, not the case. I asked about her mom's gardening project and the leaky faucet she finally bullied her landlord into fixing. Men my age fall for competence more than fireworks, and Monica is steady as a level. We ate slow, laughed twice, and left room for pie we didn't order. On the sidewalk, she took my hand the way people test a railing. Gentle, sure. "You good?" she asked. "Better," I said, which was true enough. We set ground rules before the car doors opened. No overnight stays, no public photos, no mixing work in court. It sounded like we were building shelves, not feelings, but shelves hold. She kissed my cheek, quick and warm. I felt something I'd missed for months. Room again. We built small rituals that didn't trip alarms. Tuesday walks after dinner, phones in pockets. Saturday mornings at the farmer's market, where peaches bruise if you rush them. A Sunday picnic at Oak Point Park with fried chicken still warm and a blanket that caught every crumb. We talked about normal things, bad movies, good coffee, relatives who collect gadgets they never use. Men my age appreciate that grace. A conversation without landmines. Monica laughs with her whole face. She listens without fixing. I brought a simple kite, the kind you buy for kids and secretly fly yourself. The wind cooperated. The string buzzed in my fingers like a low guitar. "Feels like we're wasting time," I said. "Feels like we're saving it," she answered. The sun slid down the water like a coin on glass. We packed the basket slowly, drove home separately, and texted goodnight at 9. Boring if you're 20. Perfect if you're us. For now, deliberately. We kept our lines clear because the law still called me married. That isn't romance. It's respect for consequences. My dad taught me you don't test a fence by driving through it. You push it with a boot and walk along until you find the gate. We set curfews like teenagers, avoided overnights, and skipped places where office gossip blooms. Some nights were easy, some weren't. Men in their 50s don't brag about restraint, but we recognize its weight. Monica never rushed me. She just matched my pace and held the space. When people asked if we were serious, we told the truth. We were careful. I slept better because of it. So did she. On the nights the house felt too quiet, I went to the garage, planed cedar, and listened to the shavings whisper. That smell reminds you you're building something. Paper moves slow. Wood answers now. Both last if you treat them right. We did. Every time. 6 months passed like a long construction project. Inspections, delays, and finally a signed release. The decree came down on a Wednesday afternoon while I was tightening a drawer slide in the workshop. Alex called first. "It's final," he said. "I'll email the certified copy." I set the screwdriver aside and let the word settle. Final. It tasted like steel and relief. We split property as agreed. No winners, no parades. I refinanced the house in my name, signed a stack of papers that could stop a door, and watched the notary stamp each page like a metronome. Outside, the mailbox looked exactly the same, which felt right. Big days don't always bring fireworks. Sometimes they bring silence that holds. I texted Monica. "Done." She replied with a heart and a dinner plan. I texted Alex. "Thank you." He wrote, "You did the work." I believed him. I closed the shop, washed my hands, and locked the door. For good. The final terms were simple enough to memorize. I kept the house and the workshop. She kept a car, half the savings, and the furniture she actually used. Alimony landed at $100 a week for 2 years or until remarriage, a number that felt like the judge remembered what consequences are supposed to mean. I signed the draft, nodded at Alex, and walked the long hallway toward the parking lot with my copy tucked under my arm like a thin shield. Men my age don't spike footballs. We put them back on the rack and turn off the lights. At home, I changed the air filter, took the trash to the curb, and made tacos because Wednesdays need tacos. Monica texted a photo of paint samples for a room that wasn't a promise yet, but could be. I looked around a quiet kitchen that finally felt like mine. Then I said grace and ate while it was hot tonight. News reached me in soft ways first. A mutual friend mentioned seeing Lauren alone at a movie, no ring, no date. Then her social pages went quiet except for sunsets with captions about healing. Translation, things with Derek stalled. I didn't cheer. I logged it as another example of momentum failing when the truth shows up. Men my age know that slope. Something hot cools to room temperature, then colder. Work, bills, habits win. I kept sanding a cedar shelf and let the sander's hum drown out the urge to guess. Later, I ran into a guy from her office at the hardware store. He said Derek had moved out months ago. Didn't end ugly, he added. Just ended. That sounded familiar. If you build on a soft footing, the porch will settle. You can ignore the tilt until you spill coffee. I drove home by the long route, past the park, deciding to leave that chapter closed. Mostly today. I didn't plan to meet Derek. The Hilton Bar in Plano is where I eat a steak sandwich when the day feels like sandpaper. I took the stool 2 from the end, ordered a shiner, and watched a game I wasn't tracking. A tall guy slid onto the next stool and set his phone face down like it might misbehave. He glanced over twice before speaking. "Ethan?" he asked. His voice carried history I hadn't earned. "I'm Derek." We didn't swing. We didn't posture. 2 men shared the same square foot of air and tried not to waste it. He signaled the bartender for 2 beers and paid before I could reach my wallet. "I owe you a conversation," he said. Men my age know that line rarely ends clean, but it beats silence. I nodded. "Start with why now?" He peeled the label from his bottle in strips. "Because it's over," he said, "and I should have asked sooner." He didn't circle it. "I didn't know she was married," he said. "No ring the night we met, no mention after." He described Bud's bar, a Friday crowd, a song you only dance to if you mean it. She said she lived with her mom, said weekends were tricky. I listened the way men do in waiting rooms, patient, braced. Part of me wanted to tally every inconsistency. The older part knew the ledger I needed was shorter. Did he know? When did he know? What did he do? Derek kept peeling the label until his fingertips were tacky. "A buddy told me later," he said. "I didn't believe him until I got your letter." He didn't look at me then. He looked at the bar mat like it was a map out of town. "I should have reached out," he added. "Didn't know if that would help or insult you." I breathed and gave him the gift I had, clarity. "I heard the story she told you," I said. "I've heard it before." He nodded. "She said you were a drunk who broke things and broke her down. Said you tracked her, threatened to hurt anyone near her." He didn't add drama. He didn't need to. That script writes itself when someone wants an exit with applause. Men my age have seen versions of it at work. The problem is always the manager, the market, the moon phase, anything but the choice. Derek took a careful sip. "I checked what I could," he said. "Talked to people. Nothing matched." He turned the bottle, reading the fine print to give his eyes a chore. "That letter, it didn't gloat. It just told me more than I wanted to know." I nodded. "That was the point. Not to humiliate you. To warn you." He stared at the bar mirror, saw both of us in it, and said, "Consider me warned. Late, but warned." He talked about the first month like a guy describing a truck that started every morning. No questions. We danced, we laughed, we found time wherever it hid. He smiled once, small and honest. I fell hard. Older men don't sneer at that. We remember firsts too, even when they cost us. Then he described the drift, the missed calls, the excuses dressed like obligations, the weeks that went thin. "I thought it was me working too much," he said. "Then I found out about you." He rubbed his thumb along the bottle ridge until the skin went white. That's when love turned into corrections. Not revenge, just adjustments. He moved her to honesty's edge and watched her step back. "I didn't propose," he said. "I couldn't. Every promise tasted like cardboard. I knew that flavor. It's what you chew when you want dinner and get a receipt." We sat with that for a minute. It was enough to count as respect. "We didn't end right away," he admitted. "We tried the grown-up version. Clear rules, no promises, something like friends with benefits." He winced at the phrase. It worked until it didn't. Men my age understand the shelf life on arrangements built to dodge truth. They hold until somebody imagines a holiday photo. He said she started hinting about rings again once the papers were final. "That's when I realized we were just recycling a mistake," he said. He moved out, returned a key, and kept the spare toothbrush in a drawer like a museum piece for a month before tossing it. I thought about every man I know who's held on to evidence of a life that needed ending. An old voicemail, a sweater, a code to a door. Ending something twice is harder, I said. He nodded. But better than pretending once. We clinked bottles, not to toast, but to mark the moment. Sometimes that's enough for closure. For me, too. Derek stared at the TV without seeing it, then spoke to the wood bar like it might answer. I miss the good parts, he said. She could light up a room when she wanted to. Older men won't deny complexity. You can remember laughter and still refuse the lie it rode in on. He drummed 2 fingers, a rhythm for decisions. But I won't marry someone who cheats, he said. My old man lived that movie twice. I watched the credits. He shrugged like a man closing a hood after a failed jumpstart. I'm not angry now, just done. We sat with that and let it breathe. Every bar holds 1,000 versions of that sentence, most without witnesses. So, I asked, what now? He smiled with half his face. Work, sleep, eat better, give the dog longer walks, try decency. Then he looked at me and added, and make something right. He reached toward his pocket. My pulse answered. He placed a folded cashier's check on the bar like a quiet card. What's this? I asked, though my stomach already knew. Your half, he said. That lottery ticket you sent with the letter? It hit. Not retire and buy a lake hit, but enough to matter. The room didn't spin. It steadied. Men my age don't believe in luck. We believe in cause, effect, and making things right when you can. You could have kept it, I said. He shook his head. Not my money. Would have felt like stealing from a man who warned me. I slid the check back. He slid it forward. We didn't wrestle. 2 pushes made the point. I looked at the amount, whistled low, and felt a laugh loosen a bolt in my chest. You waited until after the decree, I said. He nodded. Didn't want you splitting it. That was more than fairness. That was honor with receipts. I tucked the check away. Gratitude beat anger. Finally, I didn't expect respect to walk in wearing my rival's boots, but there it was. A man returning something he didn't owe, on principle, not applause. I thought about my grandfather, a welder who labeled coffee cans with screws he might need someday. He used to say, a man's name is a ledger, keep it in the black. Derek did that tonight. So did I, maybe, by not spitting in the soup life served us both. We talked 5 minutes more. Work, trucks, dogs, the weather that only pretends to change in North Texas. Then he stood, squeezed my shoulder once, and left like he'd just finished the job he came to do. I stared at the door and felt the strange relief of a knot loosening from the middle, not the end. Men my age don't ask for closure. We recognize it when it sits down and pays the bill. I tipped and walked out lighter than I walked in. Driving home, I thought about the shapes honor takes. Sometimes it's paper filed on time. Sometimes it's a man walking away instead of winning loud. Tonight it was a rival pushing a check across a bar so my future didn't have to share with my past. Men my age collect small codes, return the cart, show up early, call your mother, keep what you borrow cleaner than you got it. Add one more. Make it right when you can, even if nobody claps. The road between the hotel and my street felt shorter. I parked at the curb and sat with the engine ticking as it cooled, a sound I've loved since every truck I owned needed rest. I carried the check inside, tucked it in the safe, and stood in the kitchen that finally belonged to me. Then I turned off the light and said something I hadn't said out loud in a year. I'm all right. It sounded true tonight. Peace settled in like a good chair, quiet, supportive, made for staying. Monica and I didn't rush a victory lap. We built Tuesday lists and Saturday breakfasts. The spare room turned into a nursery, then into 2. Soft paint, outlet covers, a rocker that squeaked until I fixed it with a drop of oil. At the sonogram, 2 flickers appeared like porch lights at dusk. Twins. The tech laughed when I gripped Monica's hand like a man hanging from a ladder. We drove home slower, talking names, promising sleep we knew we wouldn't get. Men my age understand second chances. You don't waste lumber. You cut careful and double-check your angles. I sealed the crib hardware in labeled bags, set the instructions in a clear folder. and wrote our due month on the calendar in block letters. That night, we ate pasta on the floor and argued about strollers like coaches debating playbooks. Peace doesn't mean easy, it means ours. Looking back, the playbook that saved me had 3 pages. Be quiet, get ready, move first. Silence wasn't surrender, it was space to measure twice. Preparation wasn't romance, it was oil in the hinges so the door would open when I needed it. Moving first wasn't aggression, it was leadership after months of drift. Older men know those verbs. They're how we survive layoffs, knees that click, roofs that leak in March. I learned to keep receipts, to breathe before replying, to let a judge watch film instead of hearing me narrate it. I learned that dignity spends like money, use it where it counts, not where it flatters. And I learned that forgiveness and forgetfulness are cousins, not twins. One frees you, the other blinds you. When people asked how I stayed calm, I told the truth. I didn't. I stayed busy. Lists beat rage, locks beat speeches, paper beats rumor, and love, when it returns, beats everything else again. Alex wasn't just my lawyer. He was the voice that kept me between the guardrails. Every man needs one, someone who answers on the second ring and translates panic into steps. He didn't promise miracles. He promised filings, hearings, service, evidence, and patience. That list sounded dry until it held my life together. We've known each other since Little League, 2 kids who argued over ground rules and grew up to live by them. In court, his calm was a level on a wobbly table. Outside court, he texted, "Eat," when I'd forget. Older men know that kind of friendship. Fewer speeches, more showing up. When the decree finally posted, he didn't gloat. He said, "You did the work," and meant it. I kept every invoice and every thank you card in the same folder, a reminder that experts aren't luxuries when the stakes hit home. They're tools, good ones. You don't borrow them, you maintain them. And you listen, every time. I won't pretend her ending didn't sting when I heard it. She moved back with her parents for a while, then into a rental 2 exits south. The noise quieted. The story stopped. What remained were facts. I kept the house, the shop, and the habits that make a life. She kept what the decree allowed and the space to start over if she wanted. Men my age learn to bless distance, not with fireworks, with boundaries you protect until they become peace. I rebuilt slowly, new trim in the hallway, a garden box, a rhythm that didn't check the driveway at night. Monica painted the nursery. I installed the dimmer switch. We argued happily about names again. When the twins finally kicked like tiny boxers, I rested my hand and thanked God for second drafts. Lauren became a closed chapter, not a villain. I became a man who could read without flinching. That's enough. That's forward. That's home for me. Here's what the road taught me. Winning isn't getting back what you lost. Winning is keeping your hands on the wheel. Silence bought me time, preparation bought me options, and moving first bought me peace. Paper beat rumor. Locks beat speeches. Honor showed up in unexpected boots and pushed a check across a bar. That's the payoff. Not fireworks, but a future that opens and stays open. If betrayal found you, borrow my 3-page playbook. Be quiet, get ready, move first, and remember the 4th page we wrote at the end. Build again. In this house, the lights are paid, the doors click clean, and the nursery waits with 2 names we're debating. I'm not owed a happy ending. I'm responsible for a steady one. Your turn. If you've been burned, do you hold the line or flip the script? Tell me in comments. If this helped, like, share with a friend, and subscribe for next episode of this series.